everybody, and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Absolute Batman issue 17, written by Scott Snyder, with art by Eric Kennett, colors by Frank Martin, and letters by Clayton Cowles. The Absolute Poison Ivy finally makes her appearance as sometime in the far past, a young Pamela Isley is taken to the big city by her mother, something they seldom do since the Isleys live out in the deep woods. Pamela is taken to the Heart Building, the place that her mother says is the literal center of Gotham, and this is the spot where a wish has the best chance to take root and grow strong. Once at the top of the building, Pamela makes her wish, blowing a dandelion and spreading the little flowers across the city below. This is a really nice opening to the book. It's calm, something we haven't really got yet in this book, which is a shift from Bruce's narrative, being all kind of chaotic. And it also gives us a nice view into who could be potentially a villain in Pamela Isley, finding that, maybe it's a bit more tragic than we thought, and maybe she's not outrightly a villain. Maybe there's something a little bit more to her. In the present, a security guard investigates a probable break-in the Heart Building, finding strange egg-shaped things growing in the ground, eggs that are filled with deformed fetus monsters. Before he can react though, Poison Ivy grabs him, filling his body with vines as she welcomes the guard to her wish. Not long after, a giant tree has taken over the Heart Building and the police set up a quarantine zone around it, guarding in case anyone tries to get in after they send in a group to deal with the tree. Someone does indeed try to get in, and that's Batman, who is equipped with 2 arm-mounted chainsaws, and he carves his way into the tree. Man, this is such a fucking cool look for Batman. The Chainsaw Man inspirations are not going unnoticed, and I love the evolution that's happening here, as this is kind of the most advanced gadget he has had to date. Wrist-mounted chainsaws and a breathing apparatus, so it looks like he's getting more and more complex gadgets, and that's probably thanks to Alfred, who is helping him out, and Bruce radios in to Alfred, telling him that the GCPD believe that the air is contaminated, so he's got to keep the mask on. Alfred mentions that the small squad was sent into the tree to figure out how to destroy it with an ultrasonic cannon that can separate a person's cells if they are hit with it, so he best be careful he doesn't get shot with it. Batman gets on with his mission to rescue the cops, and soon he finds them, but they have all been turned into horrific plant mutant zombies which attack Batman. So Nick Dragotta is taking a break from this issue, and we have guest artist Eric Kennett tagging in, and I really like the monsters he's making for this book. We see a little bit more later on, which I'll get to, but just the weird looking stuff he's able to do in these opening pages is great, and there's a real anime and manga look to his art, which fits the vibe that Scott is going for with this Batman and this absolute world. 1 week before Ivy's attack, Bruce continues to try and help out all his friends, all whom are beginning to turn their backs on him, with Wayland clearly going through a transformation in the sewers as Bruce finds some shedded skin, something that worries him since he knows lizards and reptiles shed when they get bigger, not smaller. This surprised me a lot since I was sure we'd get the human evolution of Wayland, thanks to the necklace. He becomes a human, maybe he takes the necklace off to turn into the Killer Croc, something very, anime inspired, he's got to take off the weighted gi to become the stronger being. But it doesn't look like maybe it's going that way. Maybe something else has gone horribly wrong and he's becoming something else. Hell, this is the absolute universe. I would not be surprised if him shedding that skin means he has become Wayland, but Wayland is now like a massive hulking man. And maybe when he takes the necklace off, he can pull off his skin and become Killer Croc. That would be a really neat and really gnarly way to do Killer Croc. And I kind of want that to happen now that I think about it. It would be really cool to see. Bruce's other friends also don't really want anything to do with him, ducking his calls, and in Oswald's case, having him thrown out of the Iceberg Lounge when he comes by, but that doesn't stop Bruce from trying. Harvey Dent, meanwhile, has gone completely missing, with Bruce told by Leslie Tompkins that he was just gone from his hospital bed when she came to check on him, despite very much needing more recovery time thanks to his head literally being split in 2. All of this makes Bruce pretty upset, and he tries to anchor himself in the city, reminding himself that nothing has actually changed and his mission still stands. Things clearly have changed though, as we finally get to see little bits and pieces of Gotham and what Gotham is like under Batman, something I've been very much looking forward to for the last few issues, as after the big Bane fight, a lot of Gothamites are now on Batman's side. with some even selling Bat merch on the street corners. Bruce doesn't like any of this at all, not wanting Batman to be this big of a thing since he was just meant to be something that helped. This is something I really like, and really like that Scott is diving into Bruce kind of becoming angered at the thought that the Batman is becoming this kind of commodified thing for the people. Like Bruce does not have ownership of Batman anymore. It's become the people who have ownership. And as we see as well in real life as well, when something like that happens, you get stuff like this where you have people trying to capitalize on that and try to profit from that. They've commodified Batman, turned him into a merchandisable thing, and that angers Bruce so much. And I like that. I like that he's having doubts because of what this world is now doing to Batman. There's almost a resentment growing for Batman, which is really an interesting take on Bruce. And I can't think of a take on Bruce where something like that has been done before. There's been parts where Bruce has hated the idea of being Batman or hated the idea of what his Batman has become, but it's never been done in this particular way, I don't think. Back in the present, Bruce fights the plant zombies, told by Alfred to keep his mask on, but it's too late as the zombies rip the breather off, causing Bruce to breathe in the toxic spores of the tree. This doesn't slow Batman down one bit though, and he takes the zombies out, using his thick cape as a makeshift mask. Alfred wants to scrub the mission, but Bruce isn't giving up, realizing that he has seen the plants like this when he was in Arkham, knowing this is something related to a person called Isley, and he wants Alfred to run checks on the name. I really like that Alfred is the guy in the chair for Batman, and he's using his contacts to get Bruce cool gear and information, and he's basically his living bat computer since he doesn't really have one, especially now that Riddler has gone rogue and isn't like looking after Bruce's interests anymore and wanting to be part of Bruce's little team anymore. We get more of Pamela Isley's backstory here as Ivy has become a genetic scientist, injecting human stem cells with plant DNA. We learn that she got into this line of work because her mother has fallen ill and she is trying to cure her disease, but nothing seems to work. Her work leads her to begin to believe that humans are losing touch with themselves and need to learn to reconnect with each other and nature, so she gets more involved in her projects, combining human cells with not just that of plants, but things from all over the 6 kingdoms of life, so she can further climb up the tree of evolution and life and reach the heights that her mother knew she could. Scott is really laying everything out with Pamela here as a tragic character, one who just wanted what was best for herself and her mother. She wanted to just help someone, and that's, blinded her a little bit. Her research and everything has blinded her. She just wants to pursue the cure, and she's become one mind focused on that cure, not realizing the ramifications of everything. Like, she doesn't really care about the ramifications that has. I don't think she is outrightly a villain, being we know that Arkham and what it does to people is, takes them against their will and forces them to become monsters. So I'm looking forward to Scott diving into Ivy's motivations even more in the coming issues and what turned her into this crazy monster plant being. Back in the past, Bruce continues to try and stay with some level of routine in his life, going to visit Joe Chill like he always does. But like his friends, Joe doesn't want anything to do with Bruce now, something that angers him greatly, since this is what they have done for years and he can't suddenly change his mind. So all this happening right now, all of Bruce's friends leaving him, even Joe Chill not wanting to see him, the Bat merch, Batman not becoming something that he wanted and it's being kind of taken from him by the public. I can't help but feel this is all being intentionally done, and maybe it's being orchestrated by the Joker. Maybe Jack Grimm's trying to break Bruce down, and he's doing it at such a minute level here and there in his life, so that Bruce starts going a bit more crazy and kind of falls off the cliff there a little bit. I also wonder if this might be a hint that maybe this Bruce is on the spectrum somewhat, since he doesn't take having no routine or a disruption to his routine well. Like, he does not like that at all. He hates that there is no structure in his life now, and it's irritating him. Back in the present, Batman climbs further up the tree, battling all kinds of weird creatures, one that looks kind of like a biblically accurate angel with all the eyes and wings and claws. It's a fucking sick looking design, and Eric has like swung for the fences on the designs for these monsters, especially in the latter half of this book. There's some really weird shit going on, some real Resident Evil, Parasite Eve stuff. As he blasts through the monsters, Alfred tells Batman all about what he has dug up on Pamela Isley, knowing that she was a very smart woman with multiple PhDs. However, she died when she was just 25. He continues looking up more information on the woman when Batman stumbles across Barbara Gordon, pulling her free from the vines she is trapped in. Barb, as it turns out, was part of the small squad sent in to deal with the tree, not giving any information by the higher-ups, only that they were meant to use the ultrasonic cannon. Batman takes the cannon from her, but Barbara wants to help the masked hero and be his partner, but Batman pushes her off the tree, detaching one of his prehensile talons onto her back to act as Barbara's parachute. So I was kind of hoping that Barbara would stick around a little and help Batman out. There's nothing to say that she won't come back. Maybe she, doesn't get out of the tree and just climbs back up to help Batman in a moment of need. But I was just kind of hoping that he would let her team up here and we'd get kind of like a Batman, Batgirl sort of thing going on here maybe. I just really wanted Barbara Gordon to stick around for more than one page. Bruce climbs further up the tree and begins getting infected by Ivy's spores more, assuring Alfred that he's okay when clearly he's not. Ivy gets more flashbacks and we learn that she made breakthroughs with her DNA research, and because of it, her sponsors wanted to carve it all up and sell it off for profit, something Ivy didn't want at all, planning on taking her research elsewhere so she can continue trying to help her mother. Out in Gotham, we check in with Martha, who tells Jim Gordon that she's worried about Bruce and he's trying so hard to put on a brave face. She remembers what Jim once asked her about and what she wants, and she has an answer. And in a bit of a twist, which I knew was happening sooner or later, Martha and Jim actually share a kiss, all but confirming they're going to have some sort of romantic relationship going on in the back pages of these books. I love this idea too, but I do hope that we get more page time in the coming issues, since it's been a long time between their stories. The last time we picked up with these characters truly was issue 9, some 6 months ago, so I'd like to see a little bit more of them getting involved in the story. It's not all good things though, as well. They kiss, Bruce witnesses it, quickly leaving before they can talk with him, something Jim knows is going to be a big problem. Seeing this puts Bruce more into his head, and he begins thinking about all of this, and maybe all of this is because of Batman and what Batman has become, and this is affecting his life now. Along with his friends leaving him, we also check in with various other characters Batman has had run-ins with, like Jack Grimm, who's busy socializing with Gotham's elite, Harley Quinn, who's trying to convince the Red Hood gang that they'll be helping Batman, and the EMT Dick Grayson, who continues to voice his hatred for Batman, which I gotta say I've really been liking. I've been liking a Dick who just rants every time we see him about fucking hating Batman so much. And I could see this going two ways. It means Dick will, maybe become more of a villain to Batman, like he's just an antagonist Bruce has to overcome. Or his hatred for what Batman is doing to the city is something that Bruce agrees with and maybe partners with Dick to try and become something else, with Dick becoming a Robin who grounds Batman a bit more, which is something always Robin has been for Batman. Robin has always been there for Batman to help gird him and also act as kind of a distraction when he's fighting villains. It's hence why Robin has always had that colorful costume. It's to distract people from Batman. Something is definitely being set up and I can't wait to see more. Back in the present, Bruce makes it to the top of the tree where he finally meets with Poison Ivy, now in her beautiful humanoid form. Bruce tries to talk with her, learning that Pamela Isley is what she used to be called a long time ago. Alfred tries to tell Bruce that the spores are affecting him more and more, and that Isley is not Isley anymore, wanting him to use the ultrasonic cannon on her. Ivy restrains Batman with her vines before he can do anything, taking the sonic weapon, but assuring Batman that she won't hurt him. All three of our storylines, the flashbacks, the present day stuff with Bruce, and Bruce traveling through the city begin converging as we see Bruce take his anger out on Batman, on the Batmerch guy, smashing up his stall as Batman uses a flamethrower built into his chainsaw gauntlet to burn away Isley's plants. The fire makes Pamela remember how when she was going to collect her research data from the lab, but the lab was locked once she arrived and the building burst into flame, killing her and destroying much of her research. Only it didn't actually kill her and her research saved her, transforming her into something else. After burning Pamela, Batman thinks he's actually taken down Poison Ivy, but it's revealed Pamela has multiple bodies, something Alfred tells Bruce is part plant and part human. I love this new take on Poison Ivy. It reminds me so much of the PS1 game Parasite Eve, like I mentioned before with Eric's art, where in that game the main villain was very similar as a woman studying research about cells and mitochondria and stuff like that, and the main villain ends up becoming a woman who very much looks like Pamela and very much looks like this version of Poison Ivy, just a big gross plant monster. Hell, even a lot of the monsters in this issue feel ripped right out of Parasite Eve, which isn't a bad thing. I love that game. It's a fucking great game. It rules, and the monsters in it were just so weird. Ivy tells Batman that it's time to let go, but he gets ready to carve the villain up again, only to be confronted by the prime Poison Ivy, who's this monstrous woman with a giant Venus flytrap cape and a really cool Resident Evil 2 inspired design where she has this giant eyeball on her shoulder, very much like the G-Virus people. It's a great look for her. I really love how it's both beautiful and horrifying at the same time. Ivy mutates into a horrific monster, welcoming Batman to his wish as she engulfs him in her Venus flytrap cape. Outside in Gotham, at the Gotham Central train station, Martha makes a phone call. Surprised, someone answered after all this time. The beings on the other end of the phone are revealed to be the Court of Owls, who knew Martha would call one day and want to come back to the court. Now this was a huge surprise. We are finally getting the absolute Court of Owls, and not only that, Martha Wayne used to be part of them. I wonder if in this universe the court were a group of activists. Maybe like, we know that Thomas and Martha used to be part of a group of activists when they were younger, and that is how they sort of fought back against injustices. So could this be that same group? I don't think the court is going to be some sort of rich elite of Gotham or anything like that, since it'll be too tied in with Jack Grimm and what he's been doing in Gotham. Like, we've seen the rich elite with him, so I don't think they'll be doing the same thing here with the court. I think the court will be some other entity entirely, but I like the idea that maybe the court might be good guys in this universe. They might actually be something that could help Batman in the long run. Whatever they are, I can't wait to see what the Absolute Court are and what they bring to the table. Absolute Batman issue 17 was a fantastic, tragic, and weird issue that explored Poison Ivy's absolute origins, revealing how the woman just wanted to help her mother and how the world swallowed her up and turned her into a monster. I love the parallels Scott is drawing between Pamela and Bruce and how both were trying to ground themselves in their beliefs and what they believe in, but the absolute world isn't built that way. It just chews you up and spits you out. I can't wait to explore more of this Poison Ivy in the next issue and learn a little bit more about her origins and how she became involved with Arkham, as well as the Court of Owls, the Great Court of Owls appearance at the end of this issue and what that means for the Waynes going forward and how they operate in this world. There's some really interesting stuff coming along in this book in the next couple of issues, and I cannot wait. I'm going to give this issue a 9.5 out of 10.